Oh, Debbie, I love this woman. She's everything that you ever want to believe in the power of good. She is an amazing woman and a heart of gold. And we do share a moment, especially of a mother's, on this story. And I can't thank her enough for being open with me. It was an amazing experience to go through with her, and I thank her every day for it.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of A Cuppa with. This podcast is to get people's stories out from mental health to, any advice that could just be out there to help. You never know what somebody's story can do for another person. And I hope you've all got your brews. I have got my cup of tea going. It is a late one tonight, so I've got a nice mellow cup of tea going. And I have a lovely new guest if she'd like to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm so happy and excited to be here, and I'm nervous. My name is Debbie Ortiz. I started a YouTube channel last year just to share my weight loss journey, and it kind of evolved from there, and I just started sharing more personal stuff about me and what I've been through and my pain and just the journey and how I've healed.
So you say you've started a YouTube channel that's now going more into your story. What is your story?
Well, my story is I grew up with a dysfunctional family. My dad would often try to kill himself as a child. I grew up just feeling so sad and helpless and didn't really understand what was going on. I just knew that he was doing something that was hurting himself. And my mom just, I guess she had her own problems and she didn't really deal with it. My brother was born with a rare disease. He was born without a rectum.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really shared that. And he had to have lots of surgeries, so she took I think a lot of his time, and I think she had a lot of resentment towards that.
Yeah.
Used to tell me that she hated me, wished I had never been born. Just, she just didn't know how to really love as a parent.
That's got to be hard. I mean, I completely understand that my mother was a gambling addict, and yeah, I could understand on the other things came first. So how did that make you feel?
Well, not, I mean, it made me feel, you know, unimportant, insignificant, like I, didn't really deserve to live, like, just kind of worthless, like, wanting love, from my mom, because what child doesn't want love from their mother?
Exactly. So how has that kind of developed as you've got older?
Well, interesting thing. So I I decided one day, we moved here when my youngest was 6 months old. She's now 18.
Okay.
So I would talk to my mom on the phone because we didn't talk that often. We had a kind of strange relationship. But
Yeah.
when we did talk, I decided to say, I love you each time before I hung up the phone. So I would say it, and I'd get no response. And I kept doing it over and over. Every time we talked, I ended the call with that. And one day, I remember she said it back. Whether she meant it or not, it really meant a lot to me.
That that's really nice. That's got to take a lot of like mental stamina to be able to handle that though, because that's a constant. That's like keeping the strength up to go. You know what? You might not be like this, but I'm different. I'm refusing to be like you. Um, what what made you want to do that?
Well, because when I had my children, I have a son and two daughters. I learned a lot from my mom. I learned how to be not her. I tell my girls and my son every single day when I talk to my son, he's in California, but my girls are still, I tell them every day, I tell them all the time, never in a phone conversation without saying, I love you.
Yeah.
And my daughter once commented, not too long ago, in high school, and she said, Mom, I listen to people's phone calls and and I'm waiting to hear, I love you from, the student, her friend. And she said, they don't say it, Mom.
Yeah.
That was like really deep,
Mm.
know that they expect to hear that from another student or friend telling their mom or dad that, because they've heard it often, every day, all the time from me,
Yeah, I agree. I do the same with my children. Whenever I leave them, even if it's just for school, if I go drop them off at the dad's, I tell them every day that I love them, because you never know what can happen. And I'm the same as you. I think I can only recall my mother ever saying that she loved me twice. That was only because she was trying to get over, like trying to smooth over issues that had happened. So it was the only time I remember her saying it. So I completely am on your level with that one. It's a hard thing. You've got to have a lot of compassion, because not just for yourself but towards them, because you've got to have the self-compassion to go, I understand that's not me, I don't want to be that way, I want to show love, but also expand that compassion to understanding them, even if you don't agree with them, understanding that that's just the person they are. Even if you don't agree with them, even if you don't like the person that they are, you still love them to a certain degree and want to show that.
Yeah, no matter what they do, I still, I love them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as I say, been on my own journey with that, so I'm with you on that one. So how's your mental health been throughout all of this and through your years of growing up?
I mean, I can hear an echo. That's why I stopped.
Okay.
But do you hear the echo?
No, I can't hear an echo.
So I just gave intentionally to my kids. So basically, I would lose myself in just taking care of them, anything they needed. If they needed something for school, I would stay up all night just doing whatever they needed.
Yeah.
Not taking care of me because I wanted to put them first.
Yeah.
And in the long run, hurting myself, not physically, my health.
Yeah.
Hurting my health because I wasn't eating properly. I'd skip meals and I would get not enough sleep, so I'd survive on junk food, sugar, candy, like that. I didn't really have a problem with eating unhealthy, well, maybe when I was younger, but as I got older, when my youngest daughter was, I think, 1, I started eating healthy except for the sugar. I could never eliminate the sugar. That was my comfort. That was my nurture, that's what I used for.
Yeah.
I felt happy, wanted to celebrate something, that's what I turned to.
A lot of people do, though. I think with sugar, a lot of people do. It's like when children are rewarded, they're generally rewarded with a chocolate bar or something like that. So we associate that pleasure system with sugar, because it's a treat. I must have done something good, or I want to feel better to feel good. I'll have a treat.
Yeah, that was like my drug of choice.
So how have you developed, and also what made you want to start a YouTube channel?
I don't even know, honestly. The first YouTube, I had lost 50 pounds, and then my journey, I lost over 70 pounds, started eating healthy July 1st, 2016, when I got a phone call telling me I had type 2 diabetes, and it was like, begging the doctor, she wanted to immediately put me on medicine, and I was like, no, give me 3 months. That was the first time in my life, I can say, that I ever quit sugar cold turkey. And it was the best decision that I've ever made, because I got lifted from that mental fog.
Yeah.
I started having clarity and could think clearer, and it became like a spiritual journey, and really beautiful. I always say it's painfully beautiful, because the healing process is quite painful, but when you get to the other side, it's beautiful.
Well, I like that. Beautifully painful. I like that. I might have to use that one in future.
Yeah, I came up with a quote, my pain is my gift, it's my story. Meaning, like Evan Carmichael says, your pain is your purpose.
Yeah.
I heard him say that, I think, on maybe your podcast. And
yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Because it's helping me, my mission, my goal is, I want to help women that have been, to know their self-worth, to know that they're worthy, to know that they're beautiful. Something that I didn't feel growing up. And when I got married very young, at 16, so abusive relationship.
That is very young. Obviously, you can't get married that young unless you've got, it's only a certain place and you have to get parents' consent. So, getting married that young, that's incredible. How did you get to that point?
My dad signed. My mom had kicked me out. She just kicked me out. I wasn't really a bad child, but I, you know, met the wrong guy, and he was controlling, and she just got tired of it, and she just like kicked me out, and just went and lived with him, and we got married. My dad signed. Didn't ask any questions, just basically signed.
Oh, okay.
It was right before my birthday, so.
So, that's a lot of pain within itself. So you're definitely using that for a good purpose. And you say that you're starting to talk about that sort of stuff and open up now. I'm like obviously on the podcast with me, and I've seen you've done other ones with like School of Rock Stars and everything. And it's awesome to see you opening up. But what made you want to go, right, I don't just want to tell my story of my weight loss and how I've got to this point, but also I want to say how I got to that point as well, before, and like everything before and then everything after, because everything's connected. But some people don't just want to talk about that. They just want to talk about sole subject and that's it. So what made you change on that?
Well, I didn't share. And there's people that don't even know this. My friends, like my friend I stood in her wedding when I was, when she was 18 years old, and she sent me a message saying, I had no idea, I'm so sorry. She thought it was my second husband. I'm like, no, this is my first husband. You didn't even know me then. She's like, it's very shocking, and you need to sit your girls down and tell them. I said, they know some of it, and like my oldest daughter says she doesn't really want to hear it. She doesn't want to know that. She feels bad for me. I said, well, I don't want you to feel bad for me. So I think really it just all kind of fell into place. I really think that God has just opened these doors for me.
Yeah.
And I would just meditate and just get, okay, you need to go, because I have a lot of competition here, dogs bark, people coming home, my husband or my daughters, or my boyfriend, so I'd go to the park.
Yeah.
To be able to, and be in private, and just, I would pray before I press record, and just, this would come out of me unscripted. So it's just like, I just feel like these doors are being opened to release this.
Well, it's quite nice to know that it's one of those where you've become like unscripted, because I think the best kind of conversations, whether it be with yourself or with somebody else, is unscripted, because then you don't have time to think, you just speak.
Right.
It's why I don't have a script for the podcast. I refuse to, because I don't want to run off a load of questions to people. I want to know about you. I want us to have this conversation unscripted, and to get to know the person at the other side so that they can tell their story and somebody else can feel comfortable with that. So I think it's really nice and quite awesome that you've figured out how to do that in a public place, which is not a common thing.
Well, it's kind of, to be honest, it's kind of to the side. Like, there's a walking path, so there's like these trees, and I like to go sit in that one little area, and I have a little stool, and I will record there, or sometime at the lake. But before, I was doing a lot of edits in my video. Okay. And then I sent Lily, I started doing different videos, and it just really, I started this B series. Be love, believe in you. So that's when it really fell into place after talking to Lily Ma. She was like, be your true self. And she's the one who kind of convinced me to start sharing my pain. Like some in the past about my mom, but not as much as I'm sharing now, especially about my ex-husband. I never really shared that. I might have said I got married young, but and was abusive, mental abusive, but not into details what I went through. Yeah. And she just said, be your true self. And Evan, I sent him a message. He's like, what do you want to get out? You want you to have a bunch of videos that are edited, or you want to spend more time just putting your videos out and reaching more women? Yeah. And I was like, less edits. So I just, would pray and like roll with it. And
because you can't edit life.
So right, you can't.
You can't edit life. So if you can't edit life, then sometimes I think the best parts of videos are generally edited out, because I think it makes you more relatable. If they can see you being daft or just having a ramble about anything, or just a certain topic that would technically you'd only think for 5 minutes, but you've expanded on it in a way you've never expanded on it before. And I think it's mentally healing for you, because you bring up all these things that you've not thought of, and you just thought was a small subject, but when you've dug deep without realising you've dug deeper and expanded it out, you realise, oh, maybe I was holding on to more, because one little thing leads to another little thing, leads to another little thing, and next thing you know, you've got an episode for your YouTube channel.
Yeah. Who knew? I never knew if I would be sharing. Honestly, I never ever in a million years thought I would even step out of my comfort zone, because I've always been very shy. You know, I'm the one that's kind of sitting in the corner, observing, listening. I still do that, but I'm more open now, and it's easier for me to talk to people now. I think that I shared stuff because it's just, I mean, there's parts of me on the camera crying because that's just what happened. That's the emotion that came out, and I didn't edit it. You know, I kept it in.
You're speaking to a fellow crier who did the same thing on Instagram Live. So, I'm an ugly crier, so.
Well, it's not pretty. My face gets all red and blotchy because I'm rosacea, so it's like.
But I think that's the thing, is that's what people resonate with. It's like, I think as well, when it comes from women, we get branded as emotional creatures, and we get told to open up, but then when we do, we get told, oh, your emotions are getting too out of control.
Right.
And I think that the more we go, no, we're just feeling what's going through, and that's okay, the more we can embrace the side of us that we're told we're supposed to calm down. I'm not saying people should go erratic and from one emotion to the next, but when people can just show who they truly are, they show their emotions, man or woman, I think there's so much beauty in that on its own.
Right. I think because I was so negative for so long when I did my videos, I wanted to, you know, be positive, and I didn't want to show any of the dark side or any of the pain or any of the, you know, I just wanted to be uplifting. And then it's like, you know, I think I did this video of just sharing that I felt depressed, you know, having an emotional day and stuff like that.
Did you find that a lot of people who watched it that knew you were, like, I know you said about the whole thing about your husband and stuff like that, but did you find that a lot of people like, oh, I did not know this about you, even if it's just down to the smallest of details, because you were showing a person different on video that what you were on a day-to-day basis? Did you find that you got a lot of people approaching you going, oh, I didn't know this about you, or I didn't realise you was going through your own troubles and handling it and stuff like that? Was you approached that way?
No, I think because I was a stay-at-home mom for so long, I kind of lost, like, my best friend. She had, you know, her kids are older and they have grandkids, and I don't have any grandkids, so we kind of, you know, fell apart, and I never really had. Since I got, well, this is the mental conditioning. When you get married young and you abuse a man, they take your friends and everything away. So all the friends that I had growing up as a teenager, they're not my friends anymore, except one of them. So I really didn't have a lot of friends, and the people that do know, except that, you know, one friend contacted. But no, not really. They just, I guess they keep it to themselves. I've had people on Facebook telling me, you know, you're an inspiration, stuff like that. But
how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good, and it makes me want to share more, and it makes me want to be open more and not hold back, and to know that even if I'm only inspiring one person, that really, really, you know, it makes my day. It really does.
Well, that's the thing, is if you're helping one person, I always think that if you help one person, you're not really helping one person, because it's a ripple effect. You help that one person feel better, then it locks onto their family or their close friends, and then they feel better within themselves to help somebody else. And that you might have technically only helped one person, but without even realising it, in an indirect way, you could have helped tens, even hundreds of people, because that knock-on effect has carried on going. So that one person could have rippled out. And I always say, ripples don't return. They only spread out. And if you're spreading out help and ways to manage and how you've gone through it, and, you know, that little bit of information or a different way of thinking that people may have not seen before, you're sending it out and rippling that good and kindness and compassion just straight through anybody that touches that person, then touches that person. It just continues on. And I always think if you're rippling out good, it's just going to get better.
I had this incident, this story. Well, it was in the morning. I was like, God, because I don't have a lot of subscribers, and at the time, I think I had less than 30. And I was like, God, do you want me to continue with my channel? Because I wasn't even getting any comments, and I'm like, give me a sign. So it was the day before my daughter's birthday, August 9th. I went to Walmart. I was going to go to Walmart, and the dollar store was right next to it. I was going to get her some balloons, and I'm like, no, I'll just go to the dollar store in the morning. I'm like, no, let me just go now. Instead of going to Walmart, I just went there, and the lines were really long. And then there were these like teenage high school kids in line, and it took forever. And one of this guy goes, "Are you on YouTube?" And I'm thinking, you can't be talking to me, right? I hardly have any subscribers. And there's this girl, young girl, and she turns her phone around. I said, yeah. And I said, yeah. And she turns her phone around, and there I am on her phone.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I didn't even realize about my prayer until later when I was texting my son. So she goes, I said, am I helping you? She was very quiet. And she said, yes. And so she said, do you go to, my daughter's school? And she said, yes, I go to the same school. And I asked her if she knew my daughter. And she said, well, I think we went to middle school together. So my daughter's school has over 1,000 students.
Okay.
But that next day at lunch, she came and found my daughter and told her that I'm helping her mom.
Oh, wow.
That's my prayers. And she's like, she says, can I take a picture of you with you? And so she takes a picture of me and puts it on Snapchat.
Oh, that's lovely. See that?
And then my daughter, my daughter recently saw her in the hall, and she says she has my notifications turned on, and she said, oh, it's time to go watch your mom. I said, you should be learning in school, but I was like, that's so sweet. I even made a video about her. I called her, I met an angel, something like that, I think it was. And she sent my daughter a message while my daughter was at her birthday lunch with her friend, telling her, saying, tell your mom thank you for making a video about me.
Oh. See, there always some kind of sign. See, I'm not a religious person myself, but I've started to realise there's definitely something bigger than what we are. I'm not going to say it's a religion, I'm not going to say it's anything, but there's some force out there that kind of it's spinning us to whatever we need to be. I think that we get thrown stuff at us, but only if we put the work in. Only if we put the work in. And you'd put the work in. You'd done your YouTube. You'd gone on and carried on going, even when you wasn't sure. And this person was just... I think that's lovely. I think that's it's like the universe going, well, we're not sure. You've done the hard work. We'll just give you something to make sure you know that you're on the right path. And I do solidly believe in that sort of stuff, because I've felt it myself. Times when I'm like, am I really doing the right thing? Am I really, we have these moments, especially when you're content creators, and it like you say, nobody's giving you feedback, you're not sure what's going on. It can start to eat away at your mental health, because you're like, what's the point of doing it? And if you've already got mental health issues, it really does eat away at your mental health. And I've had it myself where I'm like, I'm not sure, and then somebody will approach me and go, I really like what you're doing, I watch it all the time, and I'm just like, oh, I listen to it, or I'm really enjoying what's going on. And you're like, oh, alright then, well, I'm guessing I'm helping one person, or one person's listening. I think you forget that people are actually, even though you're sending it out there to help, you forget that it actually could help. So when somebody comes back at you and goes, oh, you're helping, you're like, oh yeah, that was why I was doing it.
Yeah, I think with me too, it was the reason I didn't share about getting married so young, and because I was really ashamed of that. and my dad's, mental illness,
Mm.
nurse and bipolar.
Mm.
I thought that was a reflection of myself with my dad, and
Yeah.
so I just never shared it. I never talked about it.
Mm.
No one knew. It's just I never said anything about it, and I was like, I got married so young. My dad signed me away. He didn't fight. He had asked me at one point, his name is Chris. Does Chris hit you? And I said no. I ran into a door, and he said okay. So.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's one of those where we do feel these shames upon ourselves. Like when we speak about people, it's like, oh, we feel shame for what they've done to us, but and what we speak about could make us look bad in reflection to them. But we're just telling our stories. What they chose to do is down to them. You're just going through your story, what you lived through, and I was like this, if people wanted to look better in your story, they should have played a better character.
Oh, yes. That's a good way to think of it.
If they wanted to look better in your story, they should have played a better character. It took me a while to get that round my head. That, like, yes, I can speak about my story, because I get, there's lots of stuff that I haven't delved into yet, even though I am pretty-ish open, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about yet, and it takes time. I'm sure if you're just starting your journey of being open, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of stories that are your stories that you've just got to release one by one when and if you're ready.
Right. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I'm 55 years old, so it just didn't happen overnight. I guess it was just time for that door to be opened and to release the shame. I say shame is the enemy because it was, keeping me in the fear, keeping me fearful of releasing what was holding me back. And by releasing that, the shame, I released the fear by releasing the pain.
So how did you come to the point of releasing the shame? Because that's a toughie for anybody.
I think being on camera just does something to me. It's just like the stuff pours out. I can't even explain it. It's just like it just flows. And Lily Ma told me to turn my phone. I was holding my phone this way before so I could see myself. She told me to hold my phone that way, and I can't see myself because I have to look right here. So not being able to see myself, I don't know, it just kind of pours out of me. It's just like it's ready to be released, I guess.
You're at that point now where you just, it's like a coming to peace with a lot of your story and a lot of what you felt was shame.
Yes, and it's like when I released, shared it, I would feel really bad for 2 days. I felt drained, and 2 or 3 days, a lot had been taken out of me. It was very I don't even know how to put it into words, just this deep sadness and tiredness, and I could just go off and be by myself. And then as I released more, I felt less sad and tired and exhausted. And then the last video was hey, I released that, I'm okay. It was less, the trauma caused less pain or less setback.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of get hit by a truck once you release all that,
Well, you hold on to it for so long that you kind of get to the point where you don't know how you would be without it. So you mourn. When I've done it, I've mourned what I thought I had to do and why I had to do it for so long.
Yeah, mourned. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a mourning. It's like you've got to go through the grief of letting go of what you've been holding on for so long. And it's such a strange thing because it's these bad feelings that people assume once you let them go, you're going to be like, I feel so much better. And what you actually go through is this, from my experience, is this grief of realization, letting go of who you thought that little piece of you was. Also realising that that part might not have been you, and then seeing a different side to the story. There's all these little things that have to be taken, and you have to, it's like grieving that old part of you, that old level of you. And it's so strange because people just think you just feel a release and a release and a relief, and you might feel those things, and you probably will feel those things, but first you've got to mourn all the things that you've gone through. It's a grieving process. You can't lose an old you can't lose anyone and not mourn them. So you've got to lose the old you and mourn that of you, because that's the person who you thought you were. And then you're like, well, who the hell am I now?
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, what am I going to do now? Hang on a sec, I don't know. Who's this version of me? It's like, you got to relearn who you are, but know who you are at the same time.
Yeah, that's deep. Kind of like Pandora's box is opened and there's no closing it now. It's like it's kind of all coming out.
It's like you can't, once you've got knowledge in your brain about stuff, you can't go back. It's like when you go, you can't unlearn stuff about yourself. Once you've learnt it, it's open, but you've released the floodgates. And for that water to level out, you've got to let it pour first. You've got to let it run. Once it's leveled out, you're good. Everything's fine. The sunshine will take it all the excess away. But when you open floodgates, there's a hell of a lot of water you got to deal with first before everything else is sorted. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to mental health. Is I was listening to a book, and it's like, dealing with mental health and and dealing with all the trauma that people have gone through, all the sadness, all the pain, you can find somebody again and find their essence to who they were and get them on a level playing field. So you're taking away the bad thoughts, but you've got to make your own happy. You've got to make your own happy. You can level yourself out, you can deal with the trauma, you can get yourself on neutral from sadness and shame and all those bad things that you've been holding on to. But you've got to now work even harder to find your own happy. I was just like, that's quite a powerful thing actually, because once you've got rid of everything, you're on a neutral playing field. Well, I've got to build now. Like, where am I going to go from here?
Yes. There's a book I'm reading, The Universe Has Your Back, and I didn't even realize that somebody sent it to me, and it's like actually going through these like meditations, and it's kind of like a healing meditation, and I learned a lot about myself from that. But one of the things is about love and how fast you can bounce back from love. Like, you might get angry at somebody, but you can choose to stay in that angry, bitter moment, or you can choose to say, I forgive you, I love you, and bounce back.
Yeah.
To love, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm working on. Like, somebody cuts me off in traffic, instead of getting all mad, I'm like, I send you love. I send you love. That's what I started doing. And then I feel better. Instead of all this anger and this venting, and it's like...
I agree with that. Like, I've never been a one for revenge. I've never done revenge in my entire life. I just can't bring myself to be that person. I never have. But it doesn't mean to say if somebody cuts me off, like, you know, I can necessarily jump straight back into going from I'm gonna kill you to I'm happy, it's all good, that's you, that's not. It does take a lot of practice, and I find that it's harder to do the little things than it is to let go of the bigger things, because the bigger things are in a nice bulk that you can shift off to the side. Little things you got to pick at. You got to pick them up one by one, and that I think it's good that you're working on that, and you're figuring out which, because once you've got the little things, even though you're going through the big things, the next bigger thing will become a lot easier for you to go through. Still probably be very hard, but it'll be easier than what the first bulk was. So, oh, go on, sorry.
So my mom passed away in 2015, and I we were still kind of estranged. I mean, she told me she loved me, but she was like this very victimitis, like
Yeah.
she was played the victim all the time. And when I talked to her on the phone, it was just constantly like bitching and complaining and just being really negative. So, I would talk to her. But we never really had that closure. When we got to where we less and less, she became like a recluse. She didn't want anybody over. She didn't want to be around anybody. So she was living about an hour away from me. She got sick, and when she got sick, and I found out that she was dying, she had esophagus cancer. And she had cellulite, and it had attacked her into her bloodstream. So I had moved her literally like a few blocks from me to hospice, nursing home person in hospice. And I would go see her. And at first I was bitter. I didn't really want to go see her when she was on the North Shore.
Yeah.
And, my sister really wanted her by me. So, I did that for my sister. And it's the best thing I ever did because I started to have that closure. I would go there and read to her. And she loved jazz music. And I would play it on my phone. And I would just spend this time. And she was all like swollen and bloated. And she couldn't even talk or lift her arms. And she started getting better. And she was talking, and she was doing these arm exercises. And she's like, I want to go home. Do you think I can go home? And, I didn't know how to tell her, you're dying, Mom. She knew she was dying, but she didn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
And so I visited her, and she told me, I had it all wrong. I wish I would have done things differently.
Wow.
And she had asked me to forgive her.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
And I asked her, to forgive me. But then... when she couldn't talk, I would say, I love you. I would mouth it, and she would mouth it back. And that was very special.
Oh. See, you've got me there, I'll be honest. You got me there. That's an incredible thing because I know a lot of people that don't get that closure. They're not, I wouldn't say lucky, but I would say that mental closure of understanding that other person has accepted what's gone on, you've accepted what's gone on, and now it's come to the inevitable end. Let's just let's not make a bad situation hell. Let's make it just a bad situation. And it was a bad situation, obviously with death and all that lot, but that could have easily gone the other way, and you both came to a level playing field where you just come to accept each other. That must have felt amazing.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was tough. I'm telling you, she was tough. She was put in a coma to slow her heartbeat down, and they said she was going to have a feeding. Well, she ended up having a feeding tube, but they said she was going to have tracheotomy.
Yeah, through the thing for the foot, yeah.
And she came out of it. She was talking, and she started being negative again. She had this moment when she came out of it, and she was like, this was when she was still about an hour away. She was almost childlike. And she said, can you please take me home with you? And I said, Mom, I want to, but I can't. That really touched my heart. This is before we even had the closure.
Yeah.
Her saying did things differently. She became almost like childlike. And then she when she got better, her strength back, she started getting negative again. And then, the doctor's like, she's going to die. She has esophagus cancer. So I moved her closer to me.
Yeah.
And when she passed away, it was like, she was fine. I went to go see her that day. And I think I got so sick when I was going through all this. I started having health problems.
Yeah.
I had both of my baby toes, I think like 2 times. So I said, Mom, I'm just not going to come that night. I said, I'm not going to come, so I'm going to let my toe heal, rest a little bit. And that night, I get a call in the morning saying she was unresponsive, and that she was going to pass. And my sister didn't get that closure because she didn't come in from Texas because my mom kept bouncing back. And she honestly thought my mom was going to bounce back.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Yeah. My story of my mother didn't end as well as yours, but it's okay. I accepted it. It's one of those where I was told last year that she could possibly die. After a decade of not speaking, I wanted to respect that she was my mother and say, if this was her last days, I had to still respect the woman who brought me into this world, because if she hadn't, I wouldn't have had my beautiful babies. I wouldn't be living this life that I'm living now. I've been through crap, but that's then. This is now. I have to respect the woman who brought me life, as well as I had to forgive her. I had to forgive her. And I went in to the hospital. She had health problems. She's type 2 diabetic, never looked after herself, kidney problems, the lot. She's a very stark story of what can happen if you don't look after yourself. And I got a reaction I wasn't expecting. I burst into tears at the sight of my mother. I had to wear, she had influenza as well, so I had to wear a mask and everything. And I just said, "Oh, Mother, what have you done to yourself?" And I shared a moment, we cried together, we had a talk, and then I was like, "I love you, I forgive you, but I can't have you in my life. It's time for you to now forgive yourself and live the rest of whatever days you have as best as you can." And I just said to her, she kept saying other stuff. I was like, "No, I forgive you. It's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's fine." And she was just like, it was one of those where I realised it was no longer about her. It was about me letting go. We never did resolve, and as far as I know, she's alive. My sister's not informed me of anything different. So, but
No.
it's no longer. I did that release. I knew I was never going to get that closure from her. I was never going to get the answers that I needed. So it brings me great joy to hear somebody who got that closure, that got that. I mean, I got closure, but it was in a very different way.
Right.
Whereas it fills me with great joy to hear that somebody was able to have that moment with their parent that they've been estranged with, and just let it be. Just be mother and daughter. Just from the one that gave life to the one that's had that life, and just accept each other. And I think that's absolutely, I say, when you're telling a story, you got even thinking about it now, it chokes me, because I think that's such an incredible thing. And not only that, but that makes me happy for you, that you was able to go through that and experience that and be okay, and know that you could take that love, and that release and that relief, all of that, and turn it into something else, so it would make that beauty become even more beautiful.
Right. I always sent my mother, I'll tell you something, Mother's Day for me was the hardest to buy my mom a card, because I would always send her one. And I would read all these cards, because out of respect, and she was my mom, I would send her a card every year.
Yeah.
I would read cards, and there was all this, "Oh, she's the best mom, and she was this, and she was that." I could never honestly buy her a card like that. I had to buy her one that said something like, "Happy Mother's Day, I love you," or something like that. I could never buy her one of these.
The standard.
Mom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's funny how people don't realise how these things can affect, like you say, everybody wants the love of their mother. Who doesn't want to experience that in their life? And whether or not it's from your biological mother or the mother that raised you, it's still a mother's love. And I think that not only, and I know you shouldn't say deserved, but I think you were deserving of that. You'd worked hard to sort yourself out. You'd worked hard to get to the point where you were. And you'd worked bloody hard to show compassion, even in tough moments where I'm sure at times you would have gone, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm putting myself through all this, and I'm not even sure why I'm doing it. But no matter what, you stuck with that compassion. That's commendable on its own. You're welcome. You're absolutely
I know what
welcome.
to say. And so
Well,
I had closure with my dad too, but in a different way.
okay.
With my dad, oh gosh, he had so many health problems. He had seizures, type 2 diabetic. He had, I think he was developing Parkinson's, and I don't even know. The list goes on. He had like 2 strokes. Like the third heart attack killed him.
Mm.
But he was in a nursing home because I couldn't take care of him. You know, he's overweight, really big, and he had all his mental issues.
Mm.
And so when he went in the hospital the last time, I thought he was just going to come back out like he always came back out of the hospital. And I get a call from the doctor saying he had passed away. And I wasn't there. So that was really hard for me. But
So you experienced what your sister experienced with your mum, you experienced with your dad.
yeah, but I still had closure, believe it or not, because when I had to take all his stuff from the nursing home, he had written journals.
Oh, yeah.
And he had written connecting with his daughters, with us.
Oh.
He wanted that he wished he could, you know, be more of a father and share. Because I guess he was kind of quiet and he didn't really talk a lot when I went to see him, and I was quiet. So I got to learn more about him through his journals, which I still have.
But see, he knew you were going to find them. It's not like he didn't know that. If he knew he was that close to the line and death was tapping him on the shoulder, he knew those journals would have been found. And he would have known you would have read them. If you were the one that was collecting his things, there's no way he wouldn't have known that you were going to read them. So maybe it was just his message of being able to say, I don't know how to tell you I love you, but I love you.
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience. Yeah.
I'm kind of lost for words. They're both incredible stories. Like, absolutely amazing. And I'm sure you've put all that love straight back into your children.
Yeah, if I would have known I wasn't going to share that, I probably would have pulled I think the journals in my cabinet in a box. I made like a memory box for my dad, and I sent one to my sister. And I had like the memories in there.
See, that's the thing when you're not scripted. Things just flow. And I think that they're the best kind of connections in the world. But we are coming to the end, and it's definitely been an emotional one. But it's been absolutely lovely to have you on. So you see, you got a YouTube channel, and I'm sure everybody's dying to know about it. So what's the name?
Oh, it's just my name, Debbie Ortiz, Debbii, Ortiz, Ortiz.
Well, you know where to find it, and I will put the link for it when I put this up on Instagram and Facebook, so people can come and find you, talk to you, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I do have one final question for you. At least this one's my surprise one that I ask everybody. So you meet a person who is about to go through every aspect of life that you've gone through, all the ups, all the downs, the closures, the slam doors, the lot. But you're not allowed to tell them a single thing. You're not allowed to tell them what they're about to go through, whether it be happiness or pain. You're not allowed to tell them any experience whatsoever. All you can do is give them 3 pieces of advice to get them through it. What would they be?
My dog's at work.
It's alright, it's no problem.
I would just tell them that, how do I put that without them knowing that they know? That sometimes life might seem hard and you might have to go through a lot, but there's a purpose for your pain. There's a reason for it, and it's going to bring you to a better place.
Oh, that's lovely. Have you got any more, or we're going to leave it just that one?
And I think I would just embrace them in this big hug and just tell them how beautiful and worthy they are.
you know what? That's starting to be a common theme, is the hug. I've noticed that a lot of people are turning for a hug. I love a good hug, but it heals all. It's one of those, that connection that you don't have to say a word, but I'm feeling your pain and I want to get you through it. And
my daughter often come home from a busy shift at work and she'll say, "Can I have a hug?" That's what she'll ask. You know, hugs are free.
Hugs are free.
As many as you want.
So my daughter's not a very huggy child. She never really has been. My son, he's like, I have to tear him off me half the time, but my daughter's never been a huggy child. Well, not with me. With a dad, yeah, but not with me. And, but if she's feeling down or I'm feeling down, we just have that moment where we'll have a hug. And it might be awkward for us both, but in that moment, we're okay. And I think that hug is needed sometimes. So I think you're the second person to say that. But that's 2 in a row that I've said about a hug. So
on that subject, my youngest daughter is totally different. She's one that doesn't really gives you hugs, so it's the individual. It doesn't matter if it's daughters or sons.
No, I agree. It's down to the individual. But yeah, my daughter is sort of, if I'm in pain, she'll come and give me a hug, even if she doesn't realise it. Like, doesn't know what's going on, she'll know, and she'll come and give me a hug, and it's very rare, but if she does, she knows that I need it. So it is special. I think those moments are needed. But thank you. It's been absolutely lovely, and as I say, it's been an emotional ride, but it's been a fantastic one, and definitely something that'll stick with me. So I thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And on that note, I say good day, good brew.